A while back, I beat Fallout New Vegas and Old World Blues with only a Silenced 22 pistol. When used normally, it can be one of the worst guns in the game, but when used from stealth, well, it can shred. Dead Money doesn't let you bring in outside weapons, and there's no Silenced 22 pistols in that DLC to my knowledge, so that only leaves Honest Hearts and Lonesome Road to be conquered with the power of 22 LR. The reason I'm doing these DLC runs is that I was gone on vacation for a while, so I want to get out a lot of videos for you guys more quickly. I figure I'd start with the easier one for a warm-up. So, with that said, today I'm asking the question, can you beat Honest Hearts with only a Silenced 22 pistol? Not sure how effective sneaking like James Bond will be in a vast open canyon, but I guess we'll find out. The rules are simple. I can only damage enemies with a Silenced 22 pistol, I'm only allowed to wear Kimball's suit. Kimball? What the fuck? I'm only allowed to wear Kimball's suit, which provides no armor rating, and I must play on very hard plus hardcore difficulty at all times with no companions, unless they're forced on me by the story. We'll get to that later. With all that said, let's get started. When we last left off, I was about to lead an assault on Caesar's Legion for the fate of the Mojave. I say, fuck that, to help some random tribals in a canyon instead. I may be the sneakiest man in the wasteland, but I never claimed to be the smarterest. As for what I'm going into this DLC with, here's a quick overview. I'm not going to be buying ammo or anything else in the Mojave, as I want to preserve some challenge and make this video purely about Honest Hearts. With that said, I mosey my butt straight over to the Northern Passage, and find out that Jed actually has a unique line if you kill Alice McLafferty.
Ain't you the one that wiped out the Crimson Caravan's Vegas branch not too long ago? Ought to thank you for that. Knocking McLafferty out of the running gives Happy Trails a market to expand into.
Did anyone else know about this? I can't believe I'm still finding new stuff in this game. Anyway, I verbally demolish Ricky.
Once, I got jumped by 3 Death Jaws. No, you heard me right. They're like Death Claws, but bigger teeth. Or there was the time one of them Steel Brotherhood assholes made the mistake of messing with me. I draw my 11mm machine gun and bam! There so is. Or was it 9mm? Or a 10? I don't know. Said I was good at killing shit up. Never said I was good with numbers. Go ahead. Your word against mine, fucko. Hey, why you gotta go and be like that? Fuck! Fine, I'll tell Jed I'm carrying less so you can carry more. What an asshole.
And blackmail him into carrying an extra 25 pounds of gear. I'm still 2 pounds overweight, however, so I drop 2 flasks of whiskey so I have a drink when I get back. Heading on our way, Jed summarizes the plot for us.
Well, basically some Mormon motherfucker named Joshua Gramcracker signed on with a group that models themselves after the Romans, the empire that killed Jesus Christ. He then killed people's souls with the power of 45 auto until the new California Republic enacted gun control laws and beat the machete-wielding freaks back over the river. Then, Little Caesars ordered a well-done Mormon pizza with extra sauce, and Gramcracker got turned into a s'more. Or some shit like that, I don't fucking know. Stella! Did you drink the last of my whiskey?
As we arrive, we get ambushed by a hostile tribe known as the Whitelegs, and New Vegas, a game known for having no unkillable NPCs, pulls a bullshit tactic by making the tribals invincible until after they kill your caravan buddies. Seriously, try it yourself. Doesn't matter if you use a sniper rifle or a fat man, they just shrug it off like you're shooting spitballs at them. Well, with my caravan slaughtered, I go over the remains for valuables like any good friend. What? I was hungry. I also find some 22 LR rounds in a duffel bag, which is a welcome surprise. My first real combat encounter goes rather well. Since I'm in a high up position and these are the first NPCs you fight in this DLC, I'm able to assassinate them without much of a hassle. Follows Chalk even does my job for me for the next white leg, but I tell him to fuck off since companions aren't allowed in this run. Mostly. On the way there, I come across a giant Yaoguai. Like any reasonable person, I shoot it with a dinky little pea shooter, which somehow gets it down to half health. However, when I go to run it down, it vanishes and leaves one of its cubs in its wake. killing Yao Guai is going to be important, as their meat increases your damage by 10%, which stacks with Psycho, and I'll need all the damage I can get. I take a shortcut to the dead horses past the bear's body, finding a rad scorpion burrowing in the sand on the way. Considering how often this glitch happens in Fallout 3 in New Vegas, I have a feeling it was the inspiration for rad scorpions doing it for real in Fallout 4. It doesn't stop at just the scorpions though, as a green gecko also phases into the ground while trying to swallow me whole. This lost EXP, I have to admit, it's painful to me. Speaking of geckos, I'm shredding these goobers so fast, I honestly had to check if I was still on very hard. I know the Silence 22 can be good with crits and geckos have no DT, but still. Continuing on, and I find a Mario 64 raw fish that I attempt to kill. Unfortunately, the fish is beyond mortal intervention, so I leave it in peace. I also find two interesting observations about bear traps. You need to be skilled in repair to disarm them, despite the fact you could simply do so with a long stick, and if you disarm them, stepping in them while they're closing still doesn't hurt you for some reason. I know, I'm a pedantic asshole. Arriving at the camp, I see a dude doing push-ups, so I try to offer him some encouragement. He gets so offended by this that he runs away, runs back, and goes right back to doing push-ups, so I shove my legs in his chest cavity. He then beats a woman up with a stick to relieve stress, and I was curious if giving him a gun would make him use it. Sadly, it doesn't. Disappointed, I head inside, only to have my curiosity take over for the third time, and I try to see if I can prevent this tribal from talking to me by killing her from stealth. It takes a few tries, but eventually I manage using a stealth boy, and Joshua Graham seems none the wiser. If you wanted to do a minimal dialogue run of this DLC, there's a tip for you. Speaking of Joshua, talking to him levels me up, where I get survival to 75 and repair to 70. Survival since it's fitting for this DLC, and repair since I'm not going to be finding many 22 pistols here, so I'll have to keep the ones I have in good condition. Disgusted by Joshua's use of the inferior 45, I toss all of them off the table disapprovingly. He isn't dissuaded though, and pulls a Steven Universe by stacking the pistols on top of each other where I can't reach them in a paradox of spatial law. Touché. At the very least, I can make up for my crimes against ACP by informing him of Caesar's death, which is dialogue I've actually never heard before. With all that out of the way, it's time to start out this DLC with 3 insultingly easy fetch quests. I travel to the closest point on the map to the bus, but get puked on by the Geico Gecko who wants to renew my death insurance. I return that shit to sender and send the rest of his crew packing as well. Getting the compass is child's play, and no, that's not a pun about the child skeletons littering the ground. All you have to do is pick up the sensor module and then put it in the compass, and that's it. Next is finding a walkie-talkie. On the way, a gecko breakdances in the throes of death. I prove a fed bear is a dead bear right by feeding a bear some 22 LR, and I kill and eat some white legs as white meat is a lot better for your heart. Terrified of my power, the gecko is protecting the walkie-talkie run in fear, but it is of no use. I simply swipe a key and grab my spoils. Again, no skill check required, just grab it and go. Lastly, we have getting lunchboxes and medical supplies. This one is particularly insulting. The game gives you map markers to all the lunchboxes, negating the point of even having to look for them. Well, at least I find this cool photo. If anyone knows if this is a reference to something, let me know. As for the medical supplies, I have more than enough medical skill to salvage them, but even if I didn't, there's some convenient liquor in a nearby cabinet I could have used to sterilize them. I don't know why, but it feels like they were scared of people not being able to make it through this DLC, so they gave every quest a really easy out. They didn't need to do this for the other 3 DLCs, so it just ends up feeling patronizing and degrades the experience. You could tell me this DLC was a Boy Scout simulation game and I'd believe you. Rant aside, I make trails to the Narrows, where I ask Walking Cloud about the right to bear bear arms. She says I have to kill a bear to bear bear arms, so I bear that in mind. I then wanted to see what would happen if you refused to help Daniel's neckbeard looking ass, and it turns out he just fills your guts with lead. He's in a possession of a map out of here that the tribe has no use for, and I just watched my entire caravan get slaughtered in front of my eyes. I just want to go home, man, cut me some slack. I guess Fallout has a habit of chill-seeming characters that blackmail you with no moral consequence. While picking flowers to prove myself as a Valorant warrior, I come across some tamed geckos and... Okay, is it weird to say I want one? Like, really bad? I mean, look at them, they're so cute. But that cuteness won't stop me from killing them to see if the tribals attack. They don't. I guess it's true, curiosity really does kill the gecko. I still reload a save though, I'm not that heartless. Back to Whitebird with my flowers, and I find out I can actually sit down on logs. Huh, never knew that. My character also seems quite shocked at that fact. Whitebird, understandably, gets uncomfortable and leaves. Drinking his tea causes me to trip major balls, and while I thought Fixer might make things better, it really only made it worse. Although, more immersive in a weird way.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept, when we remembered Zion. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, you said, raise it even to the foundation.
Alright, now I'm really tripping badly. There's a bunch of cubs on the way to the mama, but as I showed before, they aren't really a credible threat. They're big targets and stagger surprisingly easily, so you can usually gun them down before they really reach you. All this hunting levels me up right before the fight, where I get Repair to 75, Speech to 90, and the Silent Running perk. Another thing I didn't know is that if you use a Stealth Boy, you can do the entire Ghost of She fight without being detected. I kinda thought it was inevitable that it would devolve into an outright brawl, but nope. Now I've got a EXP and a bunch of marksmanship improving meat to show for it. I figured I'd keep my bear killing spree intact by doing the quest to clear out the Yao Guai for Daniel, but a bunch of geckos literally appear out of thin air to kill me. What even is this game anymore? Next go around, bears appear out of thin air instead, but at least that makes sense, as you could say it's the residual effects of Whitebird's tea. Not only that, but I almost fell victim to the classic white leg tactic of shooting Molotov cocktails out of your snatch. Anyway, it turns out that you don't even need to clear out the caves properly to complete this quest, you just have to kill 2 random bears on some road. Don't know why this works, but I guess I'm glad it does? I always end up getting lost in these damn caves, so I'm glad I don't have to clear them out. Next 2 quests are about assassinating some white leg scum. First attempt, and I suffer a goofy death at the hands of one with a Tommy gun. Next try, I get closer, so I shred them in vats before they get the chance to open fire. I'm glad I did, as one of them had an anti-material rifle that would have turned my unarmored body into Swiss cheese. Killing them completes a random quest I had, which wasn't even the one I had selected. Hey, I'm not gonna complain. Unfortunately, all this plinking away has led to my ammo running dry, so I'll have to use hollow points from now on, which I have an absurd amount of. Considering most enemies in this DLC have no or very little DT, this is actually more of a blessing than a curse. Not that it truly matters, as I have the high ground over the 2 remaining white leg camps, letting me snipe them from afar without them being able to retaliate. I even take their war totems just to rub salt in the wound. Heh. Finally, we have retrieving a map of the Grand Staircase, but first I use TCL to check out this crashed plane. I didn't find anything interesting up there, but just being able to see it was enough to give me a burst of dopamine. I am a simple man. Spore plants are immobile, and unsurprisingly, for not having ears or eyes, they're not very perceptive, so they're basically just target practice. Target practice that levels me up no less, where I max out speech. What's more, the key to the map is just sitting out in the open for you to take. I guess the designer for the walkie-talkie quest came back for this one. Now, with all the busy work out of the way, it's time to lead the final assault on the white legs. But first, I get revenge on Daniel for killing me earlier.
Don't worry, I don't hold it against you. You're an outsider. Fighting seems like the practical solution. I'll tell you again. There's more at stake.
I had no clue you could shoot someone and talk to them at the same time to fuck up their face, but I love it. Joshua Graham is forced on you as a companion for this quest. You can't dismiss him or tell him to stay, and if you kill him, the quest fails. Therefore, there's nothing much to write home about as he absolutely mops the floor with the white legs. Once he leaves you, things get a bit tougher, but I've been hoarding so many stimpaks and drugs at this point that it's still not a concern. I did get a cool shot of this guy getting bonked on the back of a neck with a Molotov, though. I reload a save to go through it properly, and the Molotov ends up decapitating him this time. Well, that's one way to prevent another burned man. The dead horses help me kill the last 2 white legs, and then Joshua goes full-on scorched earth on the ones who surrender. Using my high speech skill, I can convince him not to fully ruin the tribe's innocence though. With that, Salt Upon Wounds and the Whitelegs are sent to the Great Salt Lake with their tails between their legs, and I prove that not only can you beat Honest Hearts with a Silenced 22 pistol, you can shred Honest Hearts with a Silenced 22 pistol. This was at least 5.89 times easier than I expected, which I guess I should have figured due to most enemies having little armor, but still, I didn't expect it to be this simple. Well, time to treat myself to a hard drink. Hopefully Lonesome Road can offer a greater challenge, as that's the DLC I'll be tackling next. Hey everyone, thanks for watching yet another video. I appreciate any support you can give me so I can make similar content for you in the future. If you liked the video, leave a like or subscribe. It only takes a second, but it helps me grow a ton. If you didn't like the video, leave a dislike and give constructive criticism so I can improve. Also, leave your ideas for new videos in the comments. I read all the comments that come my way and put your ideas at the end of each video. Who knows, your idea might even become an official video. If you really want to support me, go to my Patreon or become a channel member, which will get you shouted out and make your ideas more likely to become reality. Check me out on Reddit or Discord using the links in the description if you want to chat, or check out my second channel, The Loophole, for some extra content. This is Causal Loop signing off. Peace.